Following up on our last video about next-gen consoles, today we're going to look at refresh rates and the claims that both Xbox and PlayStation are making on 100 up to 120 frames per second gaming and what that means for all us in the gaming community. Let's do it! Hello, Ma. I'm on TV. Look. Holy crap! What happened? Welcome back. So, if you're like me, and you're as old as the Earth itself, you remember the dinosaurs. Excuse me. Rex is a really nice guy. He's a really nice guy. Actually, he just misunderstood a little. He just gets angry. Gets angry. Back to what we're saying. If you're like me and you're old enough, you remember these old things here. Do you remember those? Wow, we've come a long, long way. A long, long way in technology. Who doesn't miss doing this kind of stuff to get a TV reception? Anyway, displays. We're going to talk about displays today. We're going to talk about kind of technology and displays and how they all marry up with the Xbox and the PlayStation. That's what we're going to do. We're going to explain. I did promise you in the video that we did on the next-gen consoles that I'd explain refresh rates and all kinds of stuff, technical stuff, a little bit more today, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to help you guys out. It's the kind of guy I am. It is. Yeah, okay, so where to start? So, originally what I'd planned on doing was giving you all of this information in one video, and then I had a wee think and thought, no, I don't want to do that because I don't want people having a brain explosion and stuff lying all over the place, and I'll get the cleanup bill. So, what we're going to do is we're going to break down all that stuff that we just showed you that Xbox and PlayStation next-gen consoles say they've got. We're going to break it down and we're going to explain it bit by bit. So today we're going to focus on refresh rates, and hopefully we'll explain those to you in a fairly simple and logical way that you can understand as a gamer. I'm not the best tech guy in the world. I have technical knowledge, but I'm not an expert. So we're going to try and get this as simple and straightforward as possible for you. What do you think about that? I hope you like that. Yes, you will. Excellent. So what is the refresh rate, or what is the term refresh rate referring to? So your refresh rate is, and I quote, the frequency of which the image on a computer monitor or similar electronic display screen is refreshed, usually expressed in hertz or Hz, and hertz is just a unit of frequency. The refresh rate is the number of times the monitor updates with a new image each second. So, for example, if your monitor is at 60 hertz, it is refreshing 60 times per second, 120 hertz, 120 times per second, and so on and so forth. So, why is that important, and what has that got to do with gaming? Well, in the gaming world, in the generation of PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, the standard on frames per second has been kind of between 30 and 60 frames per second. Now, how does that relate to refresh rate? Well, refresh rate is directly related to frames per second. If you think about it, the number of times that the image is refreshing on the screen is your refresh rate, frames per second, so there is a connection there. So, if you have a 60 hertz monitor, then you're going to get up to 60 frames per second. If you have a 120 hertz monitor, you get up to 120 frames per second. Hence why Xbox Series X is talking about up to 120 frames per second. Now, typically on your TV and when you're watching kind of TV programs and specifically movies, the movies are generally and traditionally have always been filmed at 24 frames per second. and the film industry is reluctant to change that because people are used to seeing movies at 24 frames per second. So a lot of the time in the past, the TVs that you've probably been using and used to watching are around the 30 hertz level, maybe up to 50 to 60 hertz, but in that kind of ballpark. For that very reason that, you know, TVs are not designed to play games on, or they haven't traditionally been designed to play video games on. They're more for consumption of TV and movies. So, of course, that has changed as technology has evolved. And of course, a lot more people are using their main TV as a gaming center, as well as watching TV programs and everything. So the way we consume that kind of content has shifted a little. So what is the benefit of higher refresh rates? Why would I want to have a higher refresh rate? Well, it will make your game run a heck of a lot smoother and have a perceived sharpness. The brain's a funny thing. Well, my brain's a funny thing. I don't know about yours, but the brain is a funny thing, because what it does is it takes a lot of blurry images and puts them together into a solid mass that is sharp. So if you are running at a higher refresh rate, it's got less work to do to get that picture and make the resolution work for it. So you're going to have a perceived sharpness, a more perceived sharpness. The game's going to be much smoother than it has been in the past because it's refreshing at a higher rate. You're also going to get less screen tearing, and it will help with input lag as well. So there's a whole lot of benefits to why a higher refresh rate is a good thing. And also, I'm sure it will help with things like eye strain, and especially for us guys that are around the gaming monitor, the TV, and playing games for 4, 5, 6 hours at a time. It will all help to your brain, I guess, and it'll make your eyes less sore, I guess. So there are some of the benefits there. Now, so there is one thing that you need to look at for, and it's going to take a technology shift, and this is going to move over time. So, you know, I said earlier about typically the games that we've been used to in this last generation, being PS4 and Xbox One generation of games, they're generally running at between 30 and 60 frames per second. So if you buy a monitor that's 120 hertz or 120, or can handle up to 120 frames per second, the games that you've got at the moment might not run at that high rate. So as new games are developed, and as the game development companies put updates at, we're going to see higher and higher FPS rates coming through. But at this point in time, just looking on the Xbox store and doing a little bit of work around that, there aren't many games that are up at that top level, 120 frames per second. What a lot of companies are doing at the moment, and Fallout 4 is one of those, Bethesda with Fallout 4 are one of those companies, they, on Xbox at least, are giving us an FPS boost, frames per second boost. So Fallout 4 now on Xbox Series X runs at a guaranteed 60 frames per second and looks fantastic, I can tell you. I've been playing around with it a little bit. Everything seems to be just much smoother, and reaction times are much quicker, and it is quite a pleasant gaming experience. And actually, in a lot of these games that I've been playing around with the FPS boost, it actually feels like a new game for some weird reason. But it's everything just happens quicker. And I know, having talked to a few of you about the PS5, you're finding very similar kind of very similar experiences on the PS5 with some of these older games. So, in conclusion, are refresh rates a good thing for my gaming experience? Absolutely. There is no doubt in my mind that the increased refresh rates that the new consoles offer are a very big leap forward in your gaming experience. Does that mean that I have to buy a new display? No, not at all. if you have an existing 30 or 60 hertz display that you use, it will still run the next gen consoles. You're just not going to get the full benefit of the 60 or 120 frames per second unless you have a monitor that will handle it. But I've got to say, even if your monitor's at a 60 hertz level and you get 60 frames per second, you're going to see a marked difference in the games that you are playing. So that's it, guys. I hope this has been useful. It kind of gets your head around what refresh rates are and how they relate to gaming. I would really like to hear your own experiences, especially people that are on the PlayStation 5, how you found things. Don't forget to drop a like on the video if this has been really useful, because it does help the channel a lot. And if you're not subscribed yet and you want to keep up with this kind of information or just all the gaming that we have on the channel, make sure you hit the red button. Have the bell notification switched on so that you don't miss anything that's happening on Gaming for XP. Okay, guys, thanks for watching. Catch you later. See ya!